Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Super System Plundering the Heaven. Chapter 1. Jingle Bell. In Shangyu Middle School, the school bell rang, and high school students in school uniforms swarmed out of the school gate. Yi Yu, stop for me. With a loud shout, Yi Yu stopped and turned to look back. The person who came was a rather handsome boy, Yang Yu from Shangyu Middle School. He was tall and handsome, but his long and narrow eyes made him look a little gloomy. 7 or 8 boys in school uniforms surrounded Yang Yu and surrounded Yi Yu. Yi Yu glanced at them, pulled the backpack, and looked at Yang Yu with clear eyes. What's the matter? What's the matter? Yi Yu, are you still pretending to me? Did I tell you not to talk to Han Shui? Yang Yu stretched out his hand and pushed Yi Yu hard, and sneered disdainfully. Yi Yu, you are so poor, how dare you rob Han Shui from me? The toad wants to eat swan meat. Yi Yu staggered back a few steps, looked at Yang Yu, a stubbornness flashed in his dark eyes. Whoever Han Shui talks to is her freedom. It has nothing to do with you, and it has nothing to do with me. And what you like, I don't necessarily like. Nima, Yi Yu, you are so awesome. Yang Yu was furious, raised his eyebrows, rolled up his sleeves, and raised his fist to hit Yi Yu. Wait, brother Yu, Han Shui is here. A boy next to him reminded Yang Yu in a low voice. Yang Yu turned his head and saw a very pure and beautiful girl approaching from a distance. Seeing her, Yang Yu put away his fists and glared at Yi Yu fiercely. You're lucky, boy. Stay away from Han Shui. Do you understand? Next time you dare to talk to Han Shui, I will give you a discount. People like you are only worthy of being trampled on for life. Bah! Yang Yu spit on the ground, turned around, walked towards Han Shui with a smile on his face, and the boys surrounding Yi Yu also dispersed. Yi Yu stared at Yang Yu's back, his eyes were cold, the corners of his lips were tightly pursed, and the hand in his pocket was tightly clenched. Yang Yu, one day, I will make you not even qualified to look up to me. Drop, drop. Walking alone on the path home, the sound of whistles on the road caught Yi Yu's attention. What is this? A splendid radiance traverses the entire sky, and the splendid streamer reflects half of the sky red. Whether it was a pedestrian or a vehicle, they all stopped and took out their mobile phone to take pictures and record the vision in the horizon. The splendid brilliance lasted for a moment only on the horizon, and then it turned into a streamer and swooped down to the ground. Seeing that the rapidly falling streamer was about to reach the ground, it dissipated in the exclamations of everyone. What's the matter? Suddenly disappeared. What is it? The passers-by onlookers talked a lot, not knowing why the streamer just now disappeared without a trace. Yi Yu knew where that stream of light went, but he couldn't say it now because he was in extreme pain right now. The burning pain in his right hand made Yi Yu bend over unconsciously, trembling all over, his face pale, and a layer of cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Shocked by the vision just now, Yi Yu gritted his teeth and did not shout, because he could feel that his life might be different. After a long while, Yi Yu felt the pain subside, stretched out his right hand and placed it in front of his eyes. Yi Yu checked it carefully. The 5 fingers are slender and powerful, the nails are neatly trimmed, the joints and water chestnuts are distinct, and there are light blue blood vessels under the fair skin. I have to say that this is a beautiful hand. Is there any change? Yi Yu was a little disappointed. Looking at his right hand, was the burning pain just an illusion? Yi Yu is not reconciled. Dip. The All Heavens Avenue system found the host. The system is being bound. The binding process is 5%. Suddenly, Yi Yu clenched his hands. It was actually a system, something that only existed in novels. Yi Yu wanted to jump up excitedly. From now on, everything will be different. Grandpa, I'm back. Xiao Yu is back. Hurry up and eat. Grandpa has prepared it for you. Seeing Yi Yu coming back, an old man with a slightly hunched figure laughed and looked at Yi Yu kindly. Xiao Yu, are you hiding something from Grandpa? Are you short of money? Grandpa still has it here. The old man looked at Yi Yu, who was absent-minded, and asked softly. Grandpa, I'm fine, I was thinking about a topic just now. Yi Yu hurriedly replied. Yi Yu was an orphan who was abandoned and was picked up and adopted by the old man Yi Weo. The grandfather and grandson depended on each other for life. The old man gave all his love to Yi Yu, saved his life, raised Yi Yu, and provided Yi Yu to attend the best middle school in the city. Looking at the aging grandfather, Yu vowed to let Grandpa enjoy happiness and live a good life. Now with the system, none of this matters. Grandpa, I'm full. I'm going back to the house to review my homework. After having a hastily dinner with Grandpa, Yu hid in his room. System. Yu was lying on the bed, breathing quickly, his chest heaving up and down rapidly, and he was calling out with some trepidation in his heart. Drip. The Tao of all heavens system is successfully bound. As the voice sounded, a light curtain appeared in front of Yu's eyes. Looking at the system interface that appeared in front of him, Yu breathed a sigh of relief in his heart, and rolled his body on the bed, so high, it feels like life has reached its peak. Human race. Yu, first level Taoist. Physique. Mortal body. Number of thefts, 1 inch. Avenue value, 0.001. Talent, none. Number of draws, 0 inches. A stream of information flowed into his mind, and Yu understood the capabilities of the system. The Tao system of the heavens is the 4/9 of the heavens, and if one escapes, its ability is to steal the heavens and the myriad things. Taoist, are you sure you're not a thief? But this thief is all heavens and 10,000 worlds, and there is nothing to steal in thousands of worlds, which is very awesome. Yu looked at the system panel in front of him, which showed that he was a first-level Taoist, and a Taoist who wanted to upgrade to a second-level Taoist needed 1,000 Taoist values. The eyes are fixed on the number of thefts. According to the system's prompt, the host is level 1 and can be stolen once a day. And you can steal items from the heavens and the world. Then let's start stealing for the first time. Yu said silently in his heart. As Yu's thoughts moved, the system panel in front of him underwent a huge change, and a circular channel with brilliant colors appeared in front of Yu. Dip. The host puts his right hand into the channel and grabs it at will. The thoughtful system quickly gave instructions for use. Yu looked at the passage suspended in front of him, raised his right hand, stuffed his entire arm in, and then grabbed with his right hand. Under the blue sky, a precipitous mountain rose from the ground, and there were countless long swords stuck on the top of the towering peak. Thousands of long swords have different shapes, and none of them are repeated. For the disciples of Swordsman sect, every long sword on this sword mountain is a rare spiritual weapon. The closer to the top of the mountain, the rarer the long sword, but the sharper aura emanating from it is thicker. On the peak of Zhanfang, there is a grass growing. The grass on the grass has a strange shape, its roots stand upright, like a sharp sword, and the sword energy on it is even sharper. In the middle of the grass, there is a grass that is particularly eye-catching, like a king in the grass, all grass surrender, and the sword energy on it is even more explosive. A floating cloud passed by this place, and was smashed into pieces by the sword chi rising from the sword grass. This sword grass growing on Zhanshan is the treasure of the entire imperial sword sect. It has grown up by absorbing the essence of countless long swords. At the corner of the peak, sitting cross-legged 2 old men in long robes, both of them are straight, their sword energy is restrained, like a sword with a hidden edge. Jian Yi, how long have you and I been guarding here? An old man asked aloud. By Yunyu, 10 years have passed in a flash. The old man named Jian Yi sighed. Yeah, it's been 10 years. We've been guarding the sword grass here for 10 years. The sword grass is about to mature, and we won't have to be trapped in this bitter cold place. Another old man said immediately. Jian Ju, don't be distracted. This sword grass is the foundation of my sect and must not be lost. Jian Yi said in a deep voice. Ha ha. The old man named Jian Ju smiled inadvertently. Is there anyone in this world who can break through our sect's defense and steal the sword grass that is emitting sharp sword energy all the time? Jian Yi laughed when he heard the words, of course not, it's not. In Jian Yi's horrified eyes, not far above the sword grass, an arm appeared out of thin air. The white and slender hand stretched out from the void, and swayed back and forth in the air, the fingertips touched the sword grass, and the sword chi on the sword grass seemed to be suppressed and restrained. The palm that appeared out of thin air seemed to be very pleasantly surprised, and the slender and white fingers gathered together in an instant, and surrounded the sword grass. He grabbed the sword grass, pulled it hard, and then disappeared. Hearing the wrong voice, Jian Ju was a little puzzled. What's wrong with Jian Yi? Could it be that someone stole the sword grass? Jian Yi stood up suddenly, as if a sharp sword was unsheathed, and the sword energy rose into the night, tearing and shattering the wind and clouds in a radius of 100 miles. Someone steals weed. Jianju's expression changed when he heard the words. The same sword energy swept across the night, coercing the entire Imperial Sword sect. The two walked quickly to the place where the sword grass disappeared, and looked at the place where the sword grass had grown, but now it was empty. Jiansao was really stolen. Where is it sacred? Recalling the hand that suddenly appeared just now, Jianyi's forehead was dripping with cold sweat. Who can break through the void and steal the sword grass under the boundless sword energy? Jianyi, what did you see? I see, a right hand. The order. The Imperial Sword Palace is on full alert. Jianju shouted loudly throughout the entire Imperial Sword Palace, and then he and Jianyi and two, with their swords, galloped down the mountain with the sound of rolling sword energy and thunder. Yi Yu stretched his right hand into the passage, first moved around, and suddenly felt that his fingertips touched a tough object. He was startled. Yi Yu grabbed it instantly, and pulled it hard, and took it out of the passage. When Yi Yu's right hand came out of the passage, the brilliant aperture closed instantly, and there was no trace of it. I got a grass. Yi Yu looked at the thing in his hand in disbelief. His face was a little dark, and he threw it on the table in disgust. Dip. Congrats to the host for the first successful stealing, and increase the avenue value by 50 points. Dip. Congratulations to the host for the first successful stealing, and a lucky draw will be rewarded. The sound of the system in his mind gave Yi Yu a lot of energy, and he even rewarded a lottery, so happy. So, now for the lottery. Yi Yu pondered in his heart, and suddenly stopped again. Turning around and going to the bathroom, Yi Yu put his hand under the faucet, smeared it with soap, and rubbed it hard. Heaven Lingling, Earth Lingling. Sanqing Guanyin will appear soon. Bless my hands. Yi Yu put his hands together, put them on his chest, and muttered for a while. Let's start. The lottery starts. A turntable appeared in front of Yi Yu's eyes. A slender pointer pointed in the direction of 12 o'clock. The huge turntable was divided into dozens of small grids. Mosaic, not clear. Abominable cavalry. Yi Yu muttered, his mind moved, and the pointer began to turn frantically. Stop. After a while, Yi Yu shouted, and the pointer on the dial gradually slowed down. Yi Yu's eyes widened, his hands clenched into fists, and he stared excitedly at the slowly stopped pointer. The slowly moving pointer stopped while Yi Yu was waiting anxiously. The area pointed by the pointer gradually became clear. In Yi Yu's hopeful eyes, the image of the area lit up. It was a pattern, a stack of cards opened in a fan shape, with the 7, 8, 9, 10, and J on it being particularly eye-catching. Dip. Congratulations to the host for getting the talent, Flying Card Technique. Flying cards. What the hell? Yi Yu was puzzled and clicked on the pattern. The stack of cards suddenly collapsed into countless light spots and merged into Yi Yu's body. Talent. Flying Card Technique. This is a talent that requires an ID card to buy poker. The system explained to Yi Yu thoughtfully. Yi Yu felt a flow of information pouring into his mind, and flying cards had become Yi Yu's talent. Just like eating and drinking, it became an instinct. The first step in flying cards is to find a playing card. The second part of the flying card technique, the whole body is united with energy, and the force is poured into the fingertips. The third part of flying cards, let's go. Swish. A clean and new playing card was caught by Yi Yu's fingertips. With Yi Yu's body shaking, the playing card flew out of Yi Yu's fingertips and swept across the open window. With a thud, it pierced deeply into the tree trunk, and the half-poker left outside was still shaking constantly under the action of inertia. Swish. A thumb-sized branch suddenly fell, and the section was very smooth, as if it had been swept by a sharp blade. This branch was actually cut off by the playing cards that Yi Yu flew out. I'm Su. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Yi Yu's eyes widened, unable to believe that this was the poker card he handed out. Looking at the remaining box of playing cards in his hand, Yi Yu seemed to have seen a handful of gatlings. This is the lethality. When buying poker, you really have to show your ID card. Why? It was this grass that was so worrying. Yi Yu picked up the grass on the table and looked at it carefully. I don't have a wild horse, what's the use of you? Huh. Yi Yu suddenly found that this grass was very different from ordinary weeds. This grass looked like a sword. This grass is not only crystal clear and green, like a high-quality jade, but the grass is as straight as a sword. From a closer look, there is a feeling of being stinged in both eyes. Could it be that this is also a good thing? Yu pondered and waved the sword grass in his hand. Laugh. Jingle. After a very weak sound of airflow, Yu watched as an iron pipe at the head of his bed fell diagonally to the ground, making a clanging sound, and the fracture was smooth like a mirror, reflecting a dazzling light. This iron pipe was originally the support of Yu's bed, and the steel was very good. Even if it was slashed with a sharp blade, it would only leave a white mark, but now it has been cut off by something. Yu stared blankly at the sword grass in his hand, and then at the chopped steel pipe, swallowed, and seemed to wave it slightly just now. Hiss. Could this be the legendary sword chi failure? System. What is this piece of grass in my hand? Yu quickly asked the system. This piece of grass may be much better than the flying card technique. Jiansao. It grows by absorbing the essence of countless spirit swords, the supreme sword bone, and the sword's energy is perfect. Taking it can make people wash their bones and cut their marrow, and change their bodies. Hearing the system's explanation, Yu jumped up in surprise, and he was able to wash the bones and cut the marrow, reborn. Learn about the essential basic operations of the protagonist. Hurry up with the system. Give me that grass quickly. Yu urged with the sword grass in his hand, but he was afraid of cutting his mouth. As soon as Yu finished speaking, he felt a heat flow gushing out from his right hand holding the sword grass, and then bursts of light blue light appeared on the sword grass. The hazy light escaped from the sword grass, merged into a ball of light, and disappeared into Yu's body in a trance. Huh, is this all right? Why is this sword grass still here? Yu asked suspiciously. Host, rest assured, this system has extracted the spirituality of the sword grass and injected it into the host's body. The rebirth is expected to be completed in 10 hours. 10 hours. Wouldn't that mean that when you wake up tomorrow, you can see your reborn self? Yu began to look forward to it. Thinking about it, he couldn't sleep. Remind the host that staying up all night hurts the body, which will affect the effect of marrow washing. System, you are really caring. Yu raised his right hand and looked at the sword grass that had lost its spirituality in his hand. However, compared to the previous crystal green, the color of the sword grass is dark now, like black jade, and in Yu's opinion, there is no longer the feeling of being agile before, more like a swordsman who sees through the prosperity of the world, hiding the front in the sheath. Yu waved the sword grass a few times, but no sword chi was stimulated. Although he was a little disappointed, Yu also knew that without spirituality, the sword grass would no longer be able to release the sword chi. As the sword grass danced, the grass tip inadvertently swept to the other side of the bed. Jingle. On the other side of the bed, a piece of iron pipe fell to the ground, making a crisp sound. What's going on? Isn't the spirituality of the sword grass already absorbed? Yu was surprised at the sharpness of the sword grass and asked the system in his heart. Although it has lost the effect of rebirth, the sword grass has long since absorbed the essence of the spirit sword, and it is no longer of ordinary quality. It is a trivial matter. The system's voice recalled in Yu's mind. Hey, let's put it away first. This sword grass is good, but there is always something that can't be taken out, otherwise, if you fight with people, everyone else will have a long sword hanging from their waists, and I have a grass around my waist. What's the matter? The first ray of sunlight in the morning came through the window. Yu's long eyelashes trembled, and then he opened his eyes. Yeah, it's a good night's sleep. Turning over and sitting up, Yu felt that his body had never been so relaxed. Ah, it stinks. Yu pinched her nose and watched as a thick layer of black-gray sticky substance condensed on her body. The pungent smell made Yu almost spit it out. He quickly lifted the quilt, jumped out of bed neatly, and rushed into the bathroom to wash. After a long while, Yu washed the black-gray impurities off his body. Phew, it's much more comfortable now. Yu wiped the water droplets off his body, stood in front of the mirror, and looked at himself in the mirror. I rub it. Who is this? Is it me? Am I so handsome? Yu exclaimed while looking at himself in the mirror. What appeared in the mirror was someone Yu knew very well. The skin is fair and delicate like jade, the short hair is neat and neat, a pair of sword eyebrows fly diagonally into the temples, the eyes are dark and bright, very deep, the bridge of the nose is straight, the lips are not thin or thick just right, with Yu's sharp sword-like temperament, good a handsome young man. In the past, Yu was also quite handsome, but he didn't have any outstanding temperament. He was very low-key and inconspicuous. After this rebirth, he adjusted Yi Yu's whole body slightly and reached the most perfect state. There is a dazzling light. Looking back, Yi Yu looked down at himself. His height seemed to have grown a bit, his limbs were slender, and his streamlined body looked full of strength. Standing on the spot and jumping lightly, his head hit the roof, which surprised Yi Yu. This vertical jump is about 1 meter. And Yi Yu hasn't used all his strength. After turning a few somersaults on the spot, Yi Yu found that his body's flexibility had also been greatly improved. Hey, if being handsome is also a sin, then am I not guilty? Yi Yu, who was a little embarrassed, admired his prosperous appearance and lamented, my temperament no longer allows me to keep a low profile. The rebirth of this sword grass is really extraordinary. Yi Yu secretly admired it. This is the strengthening of all aspects of the body. System. Yi Yu called out to the system in his heart, wanting to see how he had changed. Human race. Yi Yu, first level Taoist. Physique. Spirit sword body. Number of thefts, 1 inch. Avenue value, 51 thousandths. Talent, flying cards. Number of draws, 0 inches. The physique has changed from the original mortal body to the spirit sword body. It seems that this is the physique after being reborn, and on a new day, the number of thefts has become 1 again. Do you want to come again? Yi Yu was eager to try, and he was almost unable to control himself. Steal, no matter, take advantage of the blush and try again, hoping to steal a good thing. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. In the vast land, there are high uplifted mountain ranges like giant dragons lying on the back, flying birds that cover the sky for 9 days, and towering ancient trees rising from the ground, like giants holding up the sky. This is a continent full of ancient prehistoric atmosphere, with endless rare and exotic beasts. A big river of unknown origin winds down from the 9 heavens, runs through the whole earth, and nurtures the endless creatures on this earth. The river was not so wide, and the waves rumbled on the rocks on the beach. A small tortoise the size of a palm with a green body all floats up and down in the big river, roaming freely, occasionally sticking its head out of the river, and its big eyes are rolling, and it is very agile. The little turtle didn't seem to be affected by the fast-flowing river water. Wagging its little tail and waving its 4 little claws, it swam from the river to the bank. Walking along the sandy beach for a distance, the little turtle's 4 small claws left a series of shallow footprints on the soft sand. After walking a distance, the little turtle seemed to be tired. It lay down on the beach, withdrew its head, tail and 4 small claws. Caca. The carapace on the turtle's back made a crisp sound, and then the little turtle stretched out its head, tail and claws again. Shaking his head, the little turtle turned over again, turned around and walked towards the river. PFF'd. The little turtle smashed into the river, swung its 4 claws and small tail, and swam away again. The little turtle was gone, but on the beach, where it had just been, something was left. This is a small tortoise shell, upside down on the beach. Under the sunlight, it looks like a green jade. This is the carapace detached from the back of the little turtle, like a small green bowl, left on the beach by the little turtle. On the beach, a brilliant light circle suddenly appeared. An arm stretched out from the aperture, and with a flip of his hand, he grabbed a handful of fine sand. Is this sand? Yi Yu felt the touch on his hand. The fine particles, with a firm grip, all passed from the gap between his fingers. Yi Yu couldn't see the situation inside the aperture, so he could only judge what he was grabbing by relying on his hand feel. Is this a desert? Bad luck, Yi Yu lamented. If this is really a desert, it would be tragic enough, because the vast desert is basically sand, a good thing. Don't even think about it. He wanted to take back his arm, but Yi Yu was unwilling to give up the theft this time. After all, it only happened once a day, and the opportunity was rare. Yi Yu stretched his arm forward again, hoping to hit something else, but it must not be a handful of sand, even a stone. Yi Yu's heart moved, and the tip of his right finger touched a hard object. Based on the touch, Yi Yu could guarantee that it was definitely not sand. That's it. Wouldn't it really be a rock? Withdrawing his arm, Yi Yu hurriedly looked at his right hand. Seeing a green light in his hand, Yi Yu breathed a sigh of relief. It wasn't a stone, it was great. Is this an emerald bowl? That's quite valuable. Grandpa Yi Weo has always been in poor health. With money, he can buy good things for grandpa to take care of himself. Wrong. Does this look like a turtle shell? Yi Yu looked over and over. This palm-sized thing has a diamond-shaped pattern on the back, which is very similar to a turtle shell, but it looks more primitive, and the most peculiar thing is that there are peculiar patterns on the turtle shell. There are many bean-sized, black and white dots all over the surface of the turtle shell, neatly arranged horizontally and vertically. What is this? It looked very mysterious, and Yi Yu felt as if he had caught something good. Yi Yu counted. These dots are very regular. There are 3 vertical and horizontal groups. The first row is 2, 9, 4 dots. The second row is 3, 5, 7 dots. The third row is 6, 1, 8 dots. Who is so idle, engraving the 9-square grid on the turtle shell? Yi Yu threw the turtle shell directly on the bed. He thought it was a good thing, but who knew it was someone else's random work? Ask the system. This tortoise shell material is very comfortable to the touch, so it must be worth some money. Yi Yu sighed in disappointment. Congratulations to the host for stealing the Luo Shu. Increase the Dao value by 30 points. The system's voice sounded, making Yi Yu startled. Luo Shu. System, you said Luo Shu just now. I don't read much, so don't lie to me. Yi Yu's depressed mood became suspended. This is Luo Shu, a legendary thing. Luo Shu. There is a turtle named Zan, and its armor has a picture, which is from heaven. It wears 9 shoes, 1 on the left, 3 on the left, 7 on the right, 2 and 4 for the shoulders, 6 or 8 for the feet, with 5 in the middle, and the white circles in the 5 squares are all yang numbers. The black dots in the 4 corners are yin numbers. The source of yin-yang and 5-element arithmetic is to calculate the sky and the earth, and calculate all things in the heaven and earth. The system's voice sounded in Yi Yu's mind, and it was rare to explain it to Yi Yu. It seems that this tortoise shell is unusual. When Yi Yu heard this, he was pleasantly surprised. It was really another village. The mood went up and down like a roller coaster, and before he could quickly calm down, the system's voice sounded in Yi Yu's mind. Host, are you extracting the spirituality of the rare book? Extract. The extraction is successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the talent, Super Mental Arithmetic. From above the tortoise shell, a cloud of white light emerged and merged into Yi Yu's body. A sense of enlightenment came to his heart. Yi Yu opened his eyes, and found that the world at this moment was very different, and the whole world seemed to be digitalized in Yi Yu's eyes. Wooden desk, length 187 centimeters, width 70 centimeters, height 110 centimeters, tabletop inclined 2. Yi Yu turned his eyes to the desk, and all the information on the desk was captured by Yi Yu in an instant. This profiteer, he promised to be 2 meters long, but he was missing 13 centimeters. There is also a table with short legs. Yi Yu cursed secretly. Yi Yu moved his gaze to the test paper on the table, with the last math question still empty. On the plane rectangular coordinate system, the vertex of the parabola C is at -1, 1 passing through the point A, 2, 2, and its focus is on the f-axis. Find 1, 2, 3. Originally, Yi Yu pondered this question for a long time and never came up with it, but now, at a glance, the answer has already emerged in his mind. So awesome. Super mental arithmetic, just cheating. Whoa. The sound of the wind blowing leaves was heard outside the window, and it reached Yi Yu's ears, and a message emerged in his heart. The wind speed is 3.1 meters per second. After 0.5 seconds, it will pass through the gap in the window, blowing 138 hair strands on the left side of the forehead by 3 centimeters. Reaching out his hand to press down the hair that was blown up by the wind, Yi Yu was stunned. This is all right. Stinky boy, come to dinner, you're going to be late. He remembered Yi Weiguo's voice outside the door, and woke up Yi Yu, who was still intoxicated. The old voice, 62 decibels, the host has 3 minutes to clean up, otherwise there is an 80% chance of being pulled by the ears. Here, walking out of the door, Yi Yu felt that the whole world was very different at this moment. Her ears were more sensitive, and her eyes were clearer. Yi Yu raised her head and looked into the distance, her brows furrowed, and the super mental arithmetic was automatically running. A middle-aged woman, 1.6 meters tall, weighs 206 jins, her brows are full of spring, 80% of which may be dead wood in spring, and her forehead is blackened. She is suspected of a bloody disaster. This is Aunt Lu, the neighbor of Yi Yu's family, but she has always looked down on Yi Yu, and she often makes irresponsible remarks about Yi Yu going to a prestigious school. When Aunt Lu saw Yi Yu, she thought of her children in ordinary high school, and she felt jealous. Yo, isn't this Xiao Yu? I don't have money to go to a famous school, my heart is higher than the sky, and my life is thinner than paper. What if I go to a famous school? It's not the bottom of my grades. If it was before, Yi Yu would probably have been silent and walked over with his head down. But now, Yi Yu raised her head and glanced at Aunt Lu. It is my freedom to go to any school. You are worried about money and don't want your child to go to a prestigious school. It's your own business, please don't make irresponsible remarks to others. Aunt Lu was stunned in place for a while. She did not expect that Yi Yu would say something to herself. You uneducated, how can you talk? Aunt Lu blushed and shivered with anger. Who is uneducated? Who is talking about right and wrong behind your back? Aunt Lu, don't you understand? After Yi Yu finished speaking, she ignored Aunt Lu and turned to leave. Aunt Lu was directly stunned by Yi Yu's 3 consecutive questions, and it took a long time for her to regain her senses. This dead child picked up by old man Yi. Humph, it might be taken back one day. If I tell you, it shouldn't have been picked up in the first place. It's so uneducated. You're still studying in such a good school, so you won't be afraid to raise a blind eye. Wolf. Aunt Lu was very angry, but Yi Yu was already far away, so she could only whisper, but she didn't know that Yi Yu could still hear her words clearly at such a distance. Aunt Lu. Yi Yu turned around and called out to Aunt Lu. Ah, what's the matter with you? I didn't say anything. Aunt Lu's eyes were a little erratic, but she was sure that Yi Yu didn't hear what she said, so her face was calm. Looking at Aunt Lu, Yi Yu had a cold smile on the corner of his mouth. Last night I saw my Uncle Wang and a woman go to the hotel. Impossible. Aunt Lu's face changed, and she replied calmly, but she was thinking, isn't her husband on a business trip this week? Why did Yi Yu still see him? Seeing that Aunt Lu's face turned gloomy, Yi Yu's smile grew even stronger. Aunt Lu, don't worry, maybe Uncle Wang went for a haircut. Aunt Lu's face turned even darker, and she did her hair like a god. Go cuckold. Oh, that's right. Yi Yu looked at Aunt Lu and continued, Aunt Lu had better not go out today, I'll give you a calculation, be careful of bloodshed. Child, how can you talk? What's wrong with learning? Learn the magic stick. You have a bloody disaster. Aunt Lu jumped up and scolded when she heard the words. Yi Yu sneered, ha. Be careful when you walk, you might fall over and you'll get bloodied. Aunt Lu was in a hurry, turned around and left, but accidentally stepped on a banana peel. Snapped. What? Help, it's bleeding. Yi Yu was whistling on the way to school, in a particularly happy mood. This Aunt Lu has a small heart, doesn't show virtue in her mouth, doesn't look good to others, and is very unpopular. In the past, she often mocked Yi Yu openly or secretly. Originally, Yi Yu was only secretly posing in his heart, but since the establishment of the system, Yi Yu felt that he had freed himself. And this super mental arithmetic can also have the function of deducing the budget, it simply comes with a halo of magic stick. Woo! Walking on the road, a little girl's cry caught Yi Yu's attention. A 7 or 8-year-old girl in a white dress was sitting on the side of the road, her little head buried in her arms, and weeping in a low voice. Yi Yu didn't see the adults beside the little girl, maybe the little girl got lost. Yi Yu squatted beside the little girl and asked softly, little sister, what's the matter with you? Can't find your family? Hearing Yi Yu's question, the little girl stopped crying, choked up and raised her head, her face was flushed with white, her big watery eyes were dripping with tears, and under her upturned nose was a red toot. The small mouth, what a cute little loli. Wow, it's a dog, the dog is floating. Is the dog floating? Yi Yu wanted to ask the little girl, are you unable to lift the knife? No, the dog is floating. The little girl stretched out her hand and pointed to a big tree by the roadside. Yi Yu followed the little girl's finger and laughed immediately. Beside the big tree, there are 3 or 4 small animal-shaped hydrogen balloons floating, and a small white dog the size of a slap is tied under the balloon. This little white dog who had just been born seemed to be a little afraid of heights. His dark eyes looked at Yi Yu and the two innocently and barked loudly. Tang Tang was afraid that the dog would be lost, so she tied it to the balloon, and the dog floated away. After saying that, the little girl almost cried again. Looking at the tearful little girl Tang Tang, Yi Yu's head is big, but the dog is floating 4 or 5 meters high, which is not enough. By the way, Yi Yu's eyes lit up, isn't there a flying card technique? Little sister, can you see my brother use this playing card to make a magic trick for you? Yi Yu reached out and took out a playing card in his pocket, and shook it in front of Tang Tang. As long as Tang Tang closes his eyes and counts to 5, my brother can turn this playing card into a dog. 1, 2, the little girl nodded, closed her eyes obediently, and counted. Yi Yu stood up, holding playing cards between his fingers, looking at the floating hydrogen balloon. A stream of information poured into his mind. The height is 4.21 meters, the wind speed is 2.3 meters per second, the air humidity is 70%, and the angle is 30 degrees. In just a split second, with the help of super mental arithmetic, Yi Yu has grasped all the possible situations. With a slight flick of the wrist and force between the fingers, the playing cards turned into an afterimage and flew out. Swish! The playing cards flew out quickly, cutting the rope tied to the little white dog, and then lost power and fell down with the little white dog. Yi Yu dodged and took the falling white dog and playing cards, and shouted in his heart, yes. The accuracy and strength are just right. 4, 5, Tang Tang opened her eyes, and a little white dog was in front of her. Look at Tang Tang, the little dog is here. Yi Yu handed the little white dog to the little girl Tang Tang. Tang Tang first glanced at the little white dog, then looked at the hydrogen balloon, clapped her hands, and jumped up happily. Wow! Big brother is so good. The playing cards really turned into dogs. Yi Yu looked at the happy little girl and rubbed her dark hair. I'll give you this playing card, Tang Tang, the dog is back, go find your family. Oops, oops, Tang Tang stuck out her tongue. Tang Tang lost my aunt. Tang Tang, Tang Tang, where are you? An anxious shout sounded at the intersection. Aunt, I'm here. Tang Tang greeted a soft-looking young woman in a plain long dress not far away. Tang Tang, you scared my aunt to death. The woman hurried over and hugged Tang Tang. Auntie, big brother helped Tang Tang find Xiaobai. Tang Tang climbed in the woman's arms and said to the woman. Although the young woman didn't know what happened, she could see that Tang Tang liked Yi Yu very much and knew that Yi Yu was not a bad person. Thank you so much, I've caused you trouble. The woman gave a slight salute, matched with her soft and elegant face. She really looked like the person in the painting. It's okay, I also like Tang Tang. Yi Yu raised his hand to look at the time, secretly saying it was bad. It's getting late, it's almost time for class. Tang Tang, brother is gone. After Yi Yu finished speaking, she turned and ran towards the school. Big brother, what's your name? Tang Tang shouted behind Yi Yu. Call me the King of Spades. Yi Yu pointed at the cards in Tang Tang's hand. Tang Tang picked up the playing card, which was a King of Spades, and waved towards Yi Yu's back, then carefully put the playing card away. Tang Tang, you are not allowed to leave alone in the future, there are big monsters catching children recently. Do you understand? The feminine and elegant woman saw Yi Yu walking away and said while squatting in front of Tang Tang. Well, I know auntie. As the time for class was approaching, many students poured into the gate, and many luxury cars stopped, and students dressed in Shangyu Middle School uniforms walked out. Thank you Han Shui. Please take me to school with you. The person who spoke was a young and beautiful girl. The school uniform on her body seemed to have been changed, which further highlighted her youthful figure. Where? We are good friends. The answer was a tall girl with long jet black hair draped over her shoulders. When she turned her head, her hair fluttered, revealing a pretty face that looked like a hibiscus out of water, with a holy charm. The girl's name is Han Shui, and at the age of 16 or 17, you can see that she has a lot of money in the country. Standing beside Han Shui, the person who just thanked was named Qin Qing, who was Han Shui's best friend. Qin Qing looked at Han Shui's profile with a trace of jealousy in his eyes, and then hid it again. This Han Shui came from a good background. His father was a wealthy businessman in Mingzhou City. Not to mention Mingzhou City, he was one of the best figures in the entire southeastern province. His mother was a master of traditional Chinese painting. And Han Shui is not only from a good background, good learning, but also outstanding in appearance. This made Qin Qing, who was standing aside as a foil, very envious, or jealous, but in order to make a good friend, Qin Qing kept her jealousy deep in her heart. Han Shui, I heard that Yang Yu from your class has been chasing you. He is the school grass of our school. My family has money, why didn't you agree? We're not suitable. Han Shui lifted her hair and said softly, and I don't want to fall in love in high school. Humph, I'm still pretending to be arrogant. Qin Qing scolded inwardly, then raised a smile, oh my sister Shui. What age, how can there be such an old-fashioned high school student like you? If Yang Yu can pursue me, I promised him a long time ago. Han Shui laughed when she heard the words, haha, then let him pursue you. Qin Qing was about to say something when the startled breathing of several girls in the distance caught their attention. Wow, handsome guy, I don't know which class he is from. Where, he's really handsome, he looks even more handsome than Yang Yu. Oh my god, did he just transfer to another school? Why didn't he find out before? Wow, he smiled at me, I'm going to give him monkeys. Yi Yu looked at this fat girl who was seriously overweight, and the corners of her mouth twitched, giving birth to a monkey. I'm afraid I can't move you. Silently watching a circle of girls who were gradually approaching with red eyes, Yi Yu gave a shock and ran into the teaching building quickly. Hearing the screams of the girls, Qin Qing curled his lips in disdain. Are there any more handsome boys than Yang Yu in Shangyu Middle School? Are these people's aesthetics so low? No cat or dog dares to compare with Yang Yu. In Qin Qing's heart, Yang Yu is not only handsome, but also rich and rich. He's really more handsome than Yang Yu. Han Shui said softly, and suddenly felt her heart beating a little faster. Looking from a distance, they only saw a profile of Yi Yu's face. Under the slightly messy black hair, there were a pair of eyes as bright as black gems, a straight nose bridge, and water chestnut cheeks that looked perfect, which made them even more attractive. What impresses people is the temperament on his body, like a sharp blade unsheathed, sharp-edged, outstanding. Wow, look at Han Shui, he's really handsome. He's even more handsome than Yang Yu in your class. Qin Qing instantly forgot what he had just thought and exclaimed while pulling Han Shui's arm. It seems to be from our class. Han Shui looked at Yi Yu's profile and felt very familiar, but she couldn't believe it was him. From your class, Han Shui, don't lie to me. Are there any more handsome boys in your class than Yang Yu? Qin Qing couldn't believe it, because she was familiar with Han Shui's third-year class. Maybe I misread it. Seeing Yi Yu walking into the teaching building, Han Shui also began to be uncertain, is this person Yi Yu at the same table? Having been at the same table for 3 years, Han Shui suddenly found that she seemed to have little communication with Yi Yu, and even his appearance in her mind seemed to be blurred. In the first class of the third year of high school, Yi Yu stepped into this familiar and unfamiliar classroom again. What is familiar is that Yi Yu has been studying here for nearly 3 years, but what is strange is that in the 3 years, there is not much more of him, and one less of him. In the classroom, most of the students were already seated, whispering to each other, waiting for class. When Yi Yu stepped into the classroom, they all quieted down and looked at Yi Yu blankly. Yeah, handsome guy. A girl's scream interrupted everyone's silence. Who is this person? Is it from our class? What's your name, handsome? Do you have a girlfriend? Compared to the smiling and enthusiastic female classmates, the male classmates were much more silent, and there was one boy whose face was even more gloomy. This person is Yang Yu, the one who humiliated Yi Yu when school was over yesterday. Before Yi Yu came in, Yang Yu, was the focus of everyone. He enjoyed the admiration of all the girls and the envy of the boys, but since Yi Yu came in, he seemed to be a clown who had left the stage. Yang Yu is also quite handsome, but his gloomy face at the moment, combined with his long and narrow eyes with cold light, looks much colder. This is the first class of the third year of high school. Who are you? What are you doing here? Yang Yu's icy voice made the students fall silent. Yi Yu raised his eyes and looked at Yang Yu, who was standing in front of him, the legendary schoolboy of the male god, a classmate who once regarded him like an ant, and laughed lightly. I don't know you anymore. My name is Yi Yu, and I'm a student in the first class of the third year. Also, you're blocking my way. Yi Yu, class 1 of high school. Yang Yu almost laughed, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he looked at Yu provocatively. If you want to replace him, you have to find someone with a name and a surname, Yu. I don't know what he is like. Oh, then tell me what Yu is like. Yu took a step forward and stared at Yu with both eyes, like a deep pool of water. The unique momentum of the spirit sword body rose from Yu, sharp as a sword, and stabbed Yu. Yu stared, speechless, his legs trembling, and a cold sweat dripped down his forehead. At this moment, Yu seemed to be pushed against his chest by a sharp sword, and his sharpness made him dare not move at all. Can't you tell? Then please leave. Don't lie in the middle of the road like a toad, making people disgusting. Yu took another step forward, his aura became even stronger. White Rabbit. Okay. Yu's face was pale, his whole body was trembling, and he moved his footsteps mechanically to give way. After Yu left, Yu realized that he had moved away unconsciously, and then his pale face turned gloomy. Yu didn't dare to look at Yu's back, but shouted at the silent classmates in the class, "He's not Yu at all, what are you doing? Get him out, he can't be Yu." Feather. The classmates glanced at Yu, who was angry and embarrassed, and then turned to look at Yu, who was sitting in the seat with a clear cloud and wind, feeling a little overwhelmed. "He's Yu." A beautiful voice sounded, and Han Shui's figure appeared at the door of the classroom. Looking at Yu's figure, his eyes were a little complicated. Han Shui, how could he be Yu? Don't be deceived by him. Yu saw that Han Shui was looking at Yu differently, so he hurriedly stopped Han Shui and stepped forward. "Yu is my deskmate. I know better than you what he is like. Please get out of the way." Han Shui frowned, bypassed Yu, and walked towards the seat. Yu stood behind Han Shui, facing Yu's half-smiling expression. The anger in his heart drove him almost mad. But he was frightened by Yu just now, and he was a little terrified of Yu, so he had no choice but to return to his seat angrily. Chapter 11. Yu, I didn't expect you to change so much overnight. Han Shui sat next to Yu, turned her head sideways, and looked at Yu with bright eyes, very curious why Yu had such an obvious change. "Maybe I have a new hairstyle." Yu reached out and fiddled with his hair, and said to Han Shui with a smile. Han Shui was stunned for a moment, and then smiled tenderly. "Haha, Yu, I found that you are much more interesting now than before." Han Shui held her pretty face in both hands, propped it on the table, and wrinkled her nose at Yu. "You used to be a dull gourd, but now, Click. Not far from Yu's side is Yu's seat. He perverted his ears and listened to Han Shui and Yu's words. Yu Guang glanced at Han Shui's angrily smiling face, his face turned blue with anger, and he broke his hand, writing pen. Hearing the voice from Yu, the corner of Yu's mouth twitched. He deserved it. This is just the beginning. This Yu has been pursuing Han Shui painstakingly, but Han Shui ignored him. However, Han Shui, who ignored him, talked and laughed with Yu, and Yu's anger can be imagined. "Wow, that's amazing. Yu, you really have your own aura of flirting." Han Shui's cheeks were a little red, and she looked at Yu and exclaimed. Han Shui's heart beat a little faster, and she was teased by the smile that Yu had just raised at the corner of her mouth. "Did that catch you?" Yu blinked at Han Shui. I can't fall in love in high school." Han Shui's eyes were obviously flustered. "But to be honest, your facial features haven't changed much from before, but I don't know why. It seems that there have been earth-shaking changes, like the beautiful jade among the stubborn stones seeing the sun again." "Yes, that's what you said." Han Shui clapped her hands and agreed with Yu's metaphor. After speaking, Han Shui looked at Yu suspiciously. "Then why did you have such a change?" Yu sighed in his heart. If it wasn't for the system, he would still be mediocre and have no sense of existence as before. "I used to live in a mess, but now I realize it, and I realize that life is alive, and the vegetation is spring and autumn." Han Shui first tasted what Yu said carefully, and was about to nod, but then she reacted. Yu didn't say anything at all. "Humph. If you don't say it, don't say it, it's still the grass and trees. People who don't know, think you're an old man." Han Shui gave Yu a white look and was almost caught in a trick. Boom. Yu slapped the table fiercely. "This pair of dogs and girls. Don't take yourself too seriously. Everyone in the school knows that they are pursuing Han Shui, but you, dare to wave your hoe openly. Yang Yu stood up and was about to scold Yu when he found Yu looking at the door of the classroom with a smile on his face. Yang Yu was startled and knew something was wrong. He turned his head and saw that a well-dressed old man had entered the classroom. Quote, if this was an ordinary person, he wouldn't take Yang Yu seriously, because Yang Yu's mother was a school manager, and her status was enough to make him run wild. But the old man who walked in was different. Wu Suawei, he is a math teacher, but not an ordinary math teacher. He is over-old and has a straight temper. He is also a member of the Mathematical Society and a teacher of the principal of Shangyu Middle School. This is the headmaster who is willing to come to Shangyu Middle School to teach. The headmaster has to obediently call the teacher, just like his name, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter who you are. Facing this teacher, Yang Yu didn't dare to make trouble, so he could only glare at Yu, suppressed his anger, and turned to listen to the class. Yu looked up at the math teacher who was lecturing on the podium. This old man who was quite accomplished in the math world used to listen to his lectures like listening to a book from heaven. Looking down, the exercises and formulas in the textbook came into his mind. With his super mental arithmetic talent, Yu suddenly discovered that the math problems and formulas that had caused him a headache had now become so simple. Hey, Yu sighed softly as he looked at the math teacher who was talking on the podium. In the past, it was a problem to not understand it, but now it is also a kind of trouble if you understand it too well. What's wrong? Don't you understand? Hearing Yu's sigh, Han Shui turned her head and asked Yu quietly. Yu shook his head and didn't speak. He was gifted with super mental arithmetic. What else could Yu say? Here, Han Shui handed Yu a notebook. This is my notebook, you can take a look at it, it will help you. Yu was a little stunned. What are you doing? I shook my head because these were so pedantic and boring. No. I mean, what the teacher said was too simple. Boom. Yang Yu patted the table and stood up proudly. He has always been paying attention to Yu, this old man who hates students who are not disciplined in class, so as long as there is a chance, Yang Yu will report Yu to old man Wu. Although it won't be a big punishment, the small ring can be regarded as a breath. Now Yang Yu finally got his chance. Yang Yu, what are you doing? Wu Suawei looked at Yang Yu and said in a deep voice. The teacher isn't me, it's Yu. He talks to others and disturbs my study. Yang Yu looked at Yu with a cheerful look in his eyes. Who are you talking to? Wu Suawei asked immediately. Yang Yu's smile froze, and he couldn't talk to Han Shui, this. Yu, he also said that what you said was too simple. This is the final sub-question of the college entrance examination. You say it's too easy. Then I don't know what you mean by difficult questions. Yang Yu looked at Yu provocatively. Wu Suawei turned his attention to Yu and looked at Yu with a cold tone. Yu, did you really say that? Yu stood up, ignoring Han Shui who kept pulling on the corner of his shirt, and said loudly, I said it. Yang Yu breathed a sigh of relief, and the smile on the corner of his mouth widened a bit. If you don't go to heaven, you are really courting death. Originally, I was worried that Yu would deny it, but now Yu answered it so definitely, this time you will die if you don't die. Wu Suawei laughed when he heard the words, oh. Then you can solve this problem. If you solve it, I will not pursue it, and I will reward you, but if you can't solve it. Wu Suawei's face sank, then don't blame me for not being sympathetic. Yang Yu almost jumped up in surprise. Haha, Yu, let me see what you will do this time. Wait for the big demerit. On the other hand, Han Shui, who was beside Yu, puffed out her cheeks with anger. Really, let's see what you will do this time. Hey, it seems that I have asked the principal's grandfather. Yu glanced at Yang Yu, and then moved his gaze to the title on the blackboard. Hey, do I need to give you an hour to think? Yang Yu watched Yu make a fool of himself. The following Han Shui picked up the pen and calculated, hoping to solve the problem and help Yu, but quickly frowned. It is indeed the final score of the college entrance examination, this question is really too difficult. I have to say, teacher, this question you asked is really good. If it is an ordinary person, it is really difficult to answer. Yu looked at the blackboard, and there was a series of numbers on it. If it were yesterday, in Yu's eyes, these were all like alien characters, but now, hee. Haha, old man Wu, master, I'll just say Yi Yu is bragging, how can he be? Seeing Yi Yu say this, Yang Yu laughed wildly. The answer is the square root of 2. Yi Yu's voice rang out in the classroom. Quote ? Can you solve this question? Yang Yu was stunned for a moment, the answer is so fast, this must be nonsense. Yi Yu, you're going too far. If you can't solve it, it means you can't solve it. Are you making up such a foolish thing and taking Teacher Wu in your eyes? Yang Yu pointed at Yi Yu's nose and shouted with a stern tone, but the cheerfulness in his eyes was even more obvious. Old man Wu hated making things up, and this time Yi Yu would definitely be more guilty. Not only Yang Yu, but other classmates also stared at Yi Yu blankly. Is it really good for you to make up an answer like this? Han Shui stretched out her hand to cover her face. She was really a pig teammate, and the old lady couldn't take it at all. Seeing that Yi Yu was still standing there with the same expression on his face, Yang Yu had quit, and it was all for this sake, still pretending. I really don't know how to write dead words. Yi Yu, still haven't apologized to Teacher Wu. It seems that you really don't take Teacher Wu seriously. Yang Yu shouted at Yi Yu again. Shut up, Wu Suowei shouted. Did you hear me? I told you to shut up. Yang Yu raised his head and began to feel proud. Wu Suowei reached out and pointed to Yang Yu's nose, and the spit star sprayed directly on his face. I told you to shut up. Gah, Yang Yu was suddenly stunned, his mind went blank. What's the situation? Mr. Wu, it's not me, it's Yi Yu, it's him. Yang Yu quickly defended, hoping that Wu Suo would reprimand Yi Yu. What is he? He's right. Wu Suowei looked at Yi Yu with a smile, not expecting such a figure hidden in the class. What? The whole class looked at Yi Yu in disbelief, and he actually answered right. Han Shui's eyes twinkled brightly, looking at Yi Yu, her face flushed with excitement, and now she can't understand her tablemate more and more. Yang Yu's face changed, and he began to panic, shouting loudly, he made it up, yes. It was Yi Yu who was blind, not him. Enough. Give me a try. Wu Suowei looked at Yang Yu in a bad tone. Yang Yu shrank his neck and lowered his voice. Then, it is also possible that Yi Yu knew this question beforehand and knew the answer. Don't say it again. This question is new from me, and other people don't know it at all. Yang Yu, you have disturbed the discipline of the classroom many times, and I will remember you as a punishment. After Wu Suowei finished speaking, he ignored Yang Yu who was pale, turned his head and looked at Yi Yu with a smile. I can't believe, Yi Yu, you are hiding deep enough. For 3 years, I have not found you in mathematics, have such deep knowledge. Yi Yu smiled and waved his hand. Teacher, you have broken me. I also seem to be enlightened recently, and suddenly I understand a lot of things. Wu Suowei nodded, believed what Yi Yu said, and then sighed. So there is an epiphany. I don't believe it yet, but seeing your performance, I have to believe it. By the way, come to my office after class and I will reward you. Wu Suowei raised his hand to signal to Yi Yu and Yang Yu. Okay, you all sit down and go to class. Yang Yu, who almost suffered from internal injuries, had to sit down. He originally planned to laugh at Yi Yu, but who would have thought that Yi Yu's operations were so beautiful? The anger and jealousy that kept gnawing in his heart made Yang Yu go mad several times, but he just offended Wu Suowei, and Yang Yu just held back, turning his head and glaring at Yi Yu. Yi Yu looked at Yang Yu's eyes and smiled slightly. He understood the meaning in Yang Yu's eyes. Boy, there is a kind of you don't leave after school. After Yi Yu sat down, Han Shui leaned against him quietly, stretched out his elbow, and stabbed Yi Yu. Yi Yu, you were so handsome just now. Yi Yu blinked at Han Shui. I used to be handsome too. After class, before leaving, Wu Suowei gave Yi Yu a wink and motioned him to follow. Yi Yu stood up, followed behind Wu Suowei, and went to collect the reward. Wu's office is a separate room with a large area, with mathematics books on all 4 walls. A wide desk was placed in the middle of the room, and the 4 treasures of the study were neatly placed on it, which did not match the books around it. Look around first, I'll find something. Walking into the office, Wu Suowei said something to Yi Yu, then leaned over to look for something in the drawer beside him. Yi Yu walked to the desk in the middle of the room, and saw a piece of rice paper on it, with the words, sometimes riding the wind and breaking the waves, hang the clouds straight to help the sea. Teacher, your writing is very good. Yi Yu looked at these words. The font was strong and powerful, but also free and easy. Yo, Yi Yu, do you still understand words? I don't know the words, but I can feel the charm of your words. In the rigorous framework is an elegant and free soul. It seems that the teacher is not as old-fashioned as it appears. Yi Yu looked at Wu Suowei, who had turned around and laughed. Wu Suowei put a piece of paper in his hand on the table, and scolded Yi Yu with a smile. Hee, you little slick. Old man, I am meticulous when it comes to learning, but when it comes to life, as you said, why don't you live your life unrestrained and unrestrained? Have you heard? Yi Yu's face turned a little red. This was what Yi Yu said to Han Shui in the classroom. Wu Suowei pointed his finger at Yi Yu and said, I've heard it for a while, but the little girl of the Han family has been deceived by you clearly. Han family. It seems that you are very familiar with Han Shui. Yi Yu pondered. It seems that this Han Shui's family background is not simple. To be precise, I've met Han Shui's grandpa a few times. That's a general of a country. If you want to pursue Han Shui, I'm afraid you have to work hard. Old Wu is joking, the boy has no such plans yet. Wu Suowei straightened his face, looked at Yi Yu and said, do you know why I called you here? Yi Yu shook his head. Let's show you this. Wu Suowei handed Yi Yu the paper on the table. Yi Yu took the paper and looked at it. What is this? Princeton University's math competition. You don't even know this, right? As long as you get a good ranking, it will be of great help to you whether it is recommended for further studies or studying abroad. Yi Yu put down the paper and looked at Wu's behavior. No, of course I know that the most valuable mathematics competition in the world, I just didn't expect you to let me participate. Wu Suowei sat on the chair and sighed. Hey. On the one hand, we haven't won any good rankings for several consecutive sessions. On the other hand, I hope you can lead the team and win glory for us. You just believe that I will win the championship. Yi Yu stared at Wu Suowei. Hard to believe that he would trust him so much. I believe it. The confidence in your eyes makes me believe in you, that's right. Hearing this, Yi Yu puffed out his chest. That kid will never disappoint your old hope. Good boy. Wu Suowei nodded with satisfaction. The competition will be held at the end of the year, and there is still half a year left. Next, I will train you well, don't complain. My pleasure. Dip. The elders don't dare to quit. The host accepts the task for the first time, and the reward will be drawn once. Is this possible? This reward is very spiritual. Back in the classroom, Yi Yu sat directly on the seat. Yi Yu, what reward did Teacher Wu give you? Han Shui, who was beside him, wondered what reward Wu Suowei gave to Yi Yu. Yi Yu leaned back and pouted. Hey, I thought it was a good thing, but who would have let me take the exam? Take an exam? Yes, the math competition held by Princeton University. I don't know if this is a reward or a punishment. Boom. Yi Yu's calf was kicked by Han Shui. What are you doing? This math competition is currently the most valuable competition. If you really get a good ranking, it will be very helpful in the future. Tisk, I still have to go abroad. I don't know if I will not be satisfied. The speaker was unintentional, but the listener was intentional. Yang Yu had been pricking up his ears, eavesdropping on Yi Yu's words. After Yi Yu finished speaking, Yang Yu's heart moved. Princeton University. Very familiar. By the way, won't my cousin also participate in this competition? Thinking of this, Yang Yu's eyes flashed, and then he would tell his cousin that Yi Yu would be embarrassed and thrown abroad. System. Yi Yu sat on the seat, lowered his mind, and called out to the system. He had just won a lottery, and Yi Yu couldn't wait to try the lottery. Human race. Yi Yu, first level Taoist. Physique. Spirit sword body. Number of thefts. 0 inches. Avenue value. 81 thousandths. Talent. Flying cards. Super mental arithmetic. Number of draws. 1 inch. Yi Yu's eyes lit up, and the number of lottery draws really became 1. Yi Yu just wanted to click on the lottery, but stopped again, looking at Han Shui who was beside him and asked. Han Shui, how are you feeling? Me. Han Shui was stunned for a moment, and then continued, I'm very lucky. I've even won lottery tickets, what's wrong? Yi Yu's eyes lit up, and he stretched out his hand in front of Han Shui. That's right, come on, touch my hand. You, what are you doing? I told you that you don't fall in love in high school. Han Shui was a little shy, and the blush on her face infected the roots of her ears. What are you thinking? This is just a friendly etiquette between classmates. Yi Yu said with a smile. After Han Shui heard this, her face turned even redder. She lowered her head and put her hand on Yi Yu's hand, shook it lightly, and whispered, "Is that all right?" "It's all right, it's all right." Yi Yu withdrew his hand, feeling very happy in his heart, haha. There's sure to be something good out there. Seeing that Yi Yu drew back her hand happily, Han Shui wrinkled her nose a little sadly, HMPH, would. Boom, Yang Yu smashed the table, his face so gloomy that he was about to fall off the ice. Also the friendly etiquette between classmates. I believe in your ghost. Yang Yu had a gloomy face, scolding Yi Yu secretly in his heart, bah. It's really bad. I've coveted Han Shui's little hand for a long time, but I didn't expect to let him go first. In Yi Yu's mind, on a turntable full of squares, the red pointer gradually slowed down. Han Shui, are you really lucky? Yi Yu blinked and turned to ask Han Shui. Yeah, I've even won $5. Speaking of which, Han Shui raised her head, still a little proud. $5. Yi Yu swallowed and asked tremblingly, then how much did you buy? Han Shui tilted her head and thought for a while, then said, I don't know, I was curious when I was a child, and my father gave me a big box of lottery tickets to scratch. A big box. Well, Yi Yu has been completely convinced, and has no expectations for the results of this time. Congratulations to the host for picking up the 36th set of radio gymnastics in the Galaxy Empire. Let me just say, radio gymnastics is good. It can move various joints in the body, increase oxygen consumption, speed up blood circulation, promote metabolism, and it can also prevent the protruding lumbar disc from sitting for a long time. Also the 36th set, isn't that radio gymnastics? Wait, what the hell is this Galaxy Empire? System. The 36th set of radio gymnastics in the Galaxy Empire is an important measure for the Galaxy Empire to improve the physical fitness of its citizens. This set of radio gymnastics can effectively improve human strength, speed and flexibility. Be specific. Yi Yu was a little anxious. This is a situation. Continuous exercise can improve the body's physical fitness by 2 to 5 times. I'm Sue. It's okay, but I don't know how many times I can achieve it. The host's body tends to be perfect, and the limit can be increased by 5 times. Well, this can be. Well, I'm lucky. I won 5 yuan in the lottery. Han Shui's voice rang in Yi Yu's ear. Yi Yu raised his eyebrows and nodded happily, that's quite okay. Jingle bell. Student Yi Yu, then I'll go first. When the school bell rang, Han Shui waved at Yi Yu and left the classroom with a smile. Yang Yu also walked out of the classroom, but before going out, he hooked at Yi Yu. Yi Yu knew that Yang Yu would not let him leave the school easily, but this was exactly what Yi Yu wanted, teach him a lesson and let him be honest. Behind the school is a dense forest, which is called a grove by the students of Shangyu Middle School. Whether it's a group fight or a secret date, most of the students come here often. At this moment, a group of uninvited guests came from the grove, led by Yang Yu and a tall man with a python tattoo on his chest. Behind the two, there were also 3 social youths with colorful hair running rampant. Yang, who the hell is he, and let Brother Snake come out in person. A green-haired gangster behind him said to Yang Yu. And the snake brother in his mouth is the tall man with a python tattoo on his chest, light yellow, messy hair, thin cheeks, very casual eyes, his hands in his pockets, a cigarette in his mouth, walking beside Yang Yu. It's a slump in our class who wants to rob me of a horse. This time I hope Brother Snake will teach him a lesson. I want him to stay out of bed for a month. Yang Yu said bitterly. Brother Snake spit out a smoke ring, and then said, small idea. As long as the money is in place, let alone a month, it can be a lifetime. Hey, Brother Snake, don't worry, the money is fine. Yang Yu's eyes flashed with excitement and joy, as if he saw Yi Yu mourning with his broken leg. When Yi Yu came here, Yang Yu and Brother Snake had been waiting for a while. It's him. Yang Yu pointed his finger at Yi Yu's gradually approaching figure, gritted his teeth and said. Seeing Yi Yu approaching unhurriedly, a gangster threw down his cigarette, spit, and yelled at Yi Yu, little brat. You are so good, you made Brother Snake wait for so long. Yu Yu ignored him, looked at Yang Yu and laughed. I said Yang Yu, your level is too low, so you called these people. Yu Yu, I have to admire your courage. Since you are brave enough to come to the woods, don't go out. Yang Yu said to Yu Yu fiercely. Hee, everyone is a classmate, is it really necessary to be so rude? Yu Yu said indifferently. Recalling the previous scene of being forced back by Yu Yu, and the next time he talked and laughed with Han Shui, Yang Yu became more and more angry. At this moment, seeing Yu Yu showing weakness, his face grinned. Yu Yu, as long as you kneel down and beg for mercy now, and slap yourself 10 times. Shout out, Grandpa, I'm wrong. If you don't approach Han Shui in the future, let's forget about today's affairs, otherwise you will be ready to lie in bed for a month. Bar. Yu Yu squinted his eyes, a stream of light flashed, looked at Yang Yu who was proud, and said softly, Yang Yu, stay as a person and see each other in the future. It's not good for anyone to do it now. Ha ha ha. Yang Yu raised his head and laughed wildly. Why, I'm afraid, weren't you very arrogant in the morning, why are you afraid now? It's too late. It's not that I'm afraid, it's that my classmates can't bear to do it for 3 years. Yang Yu looked at Yu Yu with contempt because he had many people joke, Yu Yu, are just a piece of shit on the ground. You are also worthy of being my classmate. Since you said that, then I don't have to hold back. Yu Yu looked at the proud Yang Yu, his eyes became cold. There is a way to heaven, don't you go. Before Yang Yu spoke, the green-haired fool brought by Brother Snake moved first. He reached out and touched it, took out a knife, and looked at Yu Yu defiantly. Have you seen the knife? Don't you have to keep your hand? Let me let you bleed first. Wait a moment. Brother Snake waved at the green-haired fool, his eyes flashed a cold light, and he looked at Yu Yu. Boy, you are crazy, I just don't know if you have arrogant capital. Yang Yu was very happy to see that Yu Yu had angered Brother Snake, because Yang Yu knew where Brother Snake came from. He was not an ordinary person, but a subordinate of Qianhu, and Qianhu could be said to be the underground head of Mingzhou City. You can try. Yu Yu still looked at Brother Snake indifferently, without the slightest fear. Brother Snake was very surprised by Yu Yu's calmness. There are only 2 reasons for an ordinary high school student to be so calm. First, he is a stunned young man. Second, he really has something to rely on. And Brother Snake, as an old fritter in the society, he will definitely try something when he encounters something he is not sure about. Come on. Under Brother Snake's signal, the 3 subordinates he brought over rushed towards Yu Yu with fists. Boom, boom, boom. With 1 punch and 2 kicks in an instant, the 3 thugs all flew out backwards, clutching their stomachs and falling to the ground, almost spitting out their meals overnight. Compared to Yu Yu's transformed body, both in terms of strength and speed, it has exceeded 3 times the average human quality. In Yu Yu's eyes, the movements of these 3 gangsters were no different from slow motion. With his own physical fitness, Yu Yu didn't even need to warm up to deal with the 3 of them. Yang Yu, this is the person you invited. I have to say, it's delicious. Yu Yu didn't even look at the gangster who fell down and couldn't get up, and walked straight to Yang Yu. Yang Yu was very proud at first, but he was stunned when he saw that the 3 thugs fell to the ground instantly. Seeing Yu Yu approaching now, Yang Yu's expression changed even more, and he quickly took a step back. Yu Yu, do I think there is some misunderstanding between us? Yu Yu looked at Yang Yu, who was terrified, and smiled. Misunderstanding? Didn't you say I grabbed your girlfriend? Why, how could it be? You and Han Shui are a match made in heaven. I bless you both. Seeing Yu Yu pressing step by step, a fierce aura rushing towards his face, Yang Yu almost fell to his knees in fright. The 3 gangsters were still lying on the ground, clutching their stomachs and howling. Yang Yu didn't want to lie on the bed. Moon. I said, young Master Yang, how can you say that he is a person in Mingzhou City, why is he so timid? Brother Snake's frivolous voice sounded in Yang Yu's ear. Brother Snake. Yang Yu regained a glimmer of hope. Brother Snake can deal with this Yu Yu. Hee, I have to say that your classmate's physical fitness is surprisingly good, far exceeding ordinary people, but he has never practiced martial arts at all. Brother Snake narrowed his eyes, stared at Yu Yu, and said to Yang Yu. Can Brother Snake beat him? Yang Yu stood behind Brother Snake and asked with a little joy. Haha, an ordinary person with relatively good physical fitness can still be better than me. How can I say that I am also a first-rank martial artist? Brother Snake raised his head, his eyes filled with contempt, and he looked quite proud. Haha, Brother Snake is mighty. I'm relieved to hear Brother Snake's words. Yang Yu raised his head again and looked at Yi Yu with contempt. Yi Yu, for the sake of a class, as long as you kneel and beg for mercy and leave Han Shui, I can intercede for you and let you lie down on the bed for a while. Month, or you are ready to lie down for the rest of your life. Yi Yu looked at Yang Yu's dog-fighting appearance, quite disdainful. Yo, Yang Yu, you have risen again. Didn't you just bless me and Han Shui? Bah, you are the only toad who still wants to eat swan meat. With Brother Snake here, don't even think about walking out of the woods today. Yang Yu stood beside Brother Snake with a sneer at the corner of his mouth, as if he saw Yi Yu howling in pain. Yi Yu ignored Yang Yu, and instead asked Brother Snake, I have a question I want to ask you. What happened to this rank of martial artist? Haha, for the sake of your talent, I'll tell you. Brother Snake looked at Yi Yu, with a little envy in his eyes. Yi Yu's talent is not bad, it's simply a talent. Judging from the speed at which Yi Yu threw his fists and legs out just now, his physical fitness was at least twice that of ordinary people. It is equivalent to a 100-meter race. Others are still at the starting line, but Yi Yu is almost at the finish line. Typical win at the starting line. Warrior. Those who practice martial arts who kill the enemy are called warriors. Brother Snake's slightly gloomy voice sounded, causing Yang Yu behind him to hold his arms, shivering, and took a step back. Rank 1 for skin training, Rank 2 for nourishing blood, Rank 3 to soften tendons, Rank 4 to refine bones, Rank 5 to wash marrow, Rank 6 to hold pills. This is Rank 6 for martial artists. Looking at Yi Yu's somewhat surprised eyes, Brother Snake sneered disdainfully. Boy, I advise you to kneel down and beg for mercy, or you will really break your leg. A warrior, that's great. It turns out that the world is huge and wonderful. Hearing what Brother Snake said, Yi Yu clenched his fists and became excited. Is this what I want most? Musha. Yi Yu looked at Brother Snake, who was secretly proud, and chuckled, how many low-level warriors like you are. When Brother Snake heard the words, his eyes narrowed, as cold as a snake. Hee, low-level. Do you think it's so easy to become a martial artist? I followed Brother Hu and practiced for 8 years before I got to where I am today, boy. I'm afraid I don't know the word for death. How to write it? Sizzle. Brother Snake swung his hands and made a hissing sound in the air, which was exactly the poisonous snake spitting out a letter. The footsteps slipped, like a giant python in the grass, twisting its body, and came to Yi Yu like a flash. With a flick of his arms, like a poisonous snake coming out of a hole, it came to Yi Yu's chest with a pungent smell. Boom! Yi Yu crossed his arms and blocked Brother Snake's blow, but under the huge impact of Brother Snake, he took 7 or 8 steps back. What a lot of strength. Flicking his arm, Yi Yu felt the tingling pain on his arm, and had an intuitive impression of the warrior. Boy, I have to say, Brother Snake, I envy you for having such a strong physical quality. Brother Snake stopped and looked at Yi Yu's figure. He was not envious, but jealous. He was jealous that Yi Yu could have such an excellent physical quality, which was naturally comparable to the realm that he had practiced for 7 or 8 years. Thinking of his hard work over the years, which Yi Yu was born with, made Brother Snake's heart extremely unbalanced. But if Brother Snake knew that Yi Yu had gained such power in just one day, he would probably collapse. There is a sinister cold light in Brother Snake's eyes. I want to break his bones. Completely ruined him. Thinking that he could destroy this genius, Brother Snake became even more excited. Die! Brother Snake shouted and rushed towards Yi Yu, as if a tiger rushed towards a lamb to be slaughtered. Boom, boom, boom. Although Yi Yu had never practiced martial arts and didn't have any tricks in his shot, with his physical fitness and reaction ability far beyond ordinary people, he could block Brother Snake's attack in a short period of time. Brother Snake's fist is like a snake's head, his legs are like whips, and his moves are splendid, just like a fine python, and the attack hits Yi Yu like a *****. Under the attack of Brother Snake, Yi Yu kept retreating, his arms became more and more sore, and he was almost unable to stop Brother Snake's attack. Yang Yu, who watched the two fighting from a distance, was even more excited. Even if he couldn't see the fight between the two, but from Yu Yu's continuous retreat, it could be known that Brother Snake had the upper hand. Brother Snake, hit him, break his legs, I'm going to make him lame. Yang Yu shouted excitedly from behind. Brother Snake opened his mouth and smiled, revealing his sharp teeth, and staring at Yu Yu with bloodshot eyes. Almost. Brother Snake, who continued to erupt, felt that he had reached his peak, and his attack had never been so smooth. Brother Snake became more and more excited, and his face became completely twisted. Not only will I break his leg, but I will abolish him. Hiss. Brother Snake shot into claws, like a poisonous snake opening its fangs, biting towards Yu Yu's throat with a vicious aura. Is there really no way? Yu Yu was anxious. If I had kung fu moves, why should I be afraid of this snake brother? Trick. Yu Yu inexplicably remembered the 36th set of radio gymnastics that he had won by lottery earlier. Seeing that Brother Snake's hand was about to grab onto his throat, Yu Yu didn't have time to think, stomped his feet and used this set of radio gymnastics. Just when Brother Snake caught Yu Yu, a soft drink sounded in Yu Yu's mouth, jumping movement. Swish. Feeling a grasp of the air, Brother Snake was completely stunned. What's the situation? Yu Yu suddenly disappeared. 7 or 8 meters away from Brother Snake, Yu Yu was also stunned, so fierce. Jump 7 or 8 meters. This radio gymnastics is simply 666. Humph. Just struggling to the death. Brother Snake doesn't believe that Yu Yu can dodge his attack, this is just a coincidence. As soon as the body retracted, Brother Snake swooped like an attacking cobra, and his claws caught it again. Stretching exercises. Snapped. With a wave of Yu Yu's left hand, he slapped Brother Snake directly on the face. Brother Snake covered his face, turned around twice, covered his eyes. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Yang Yu in the back was dumbfounded. He was fine just now, why did it suddenly change? Jump movement, stretching exercises. This is radio gymnastics. Are you kidding me? Brother Snake, come on, hit him, Yang Yu shouted after seeing Brother Snake stop. Feeling the swollen face, watching Yu Yu raise his hand, Brother Snake is a little scared. This kind of inexplicable attack is so weird. Luo Shu fell and attacked. He is a touch move. Brother Snake stretched out his hand to cover his swollen face, and said indistinctly. This is radio gymnastics. He's bluffing you. Hurry up and break his leg. Yang Yu cheered behind Brother Snake. Broadcast gymnastics. Which school is it from? Brother Snake asked Yang Yu. Hearing the name, he was a little unaware. Chukao, you have never been to school. You don't know about radio gymnastics. Yang Yu almost didn't come up. I know shit, I haven't been to school. What's the next move? Let me think about it. Yang Yu grabbed his head and quickly thought about what he had done during the break. His eyes suddenly lit up. It's kicking. Kicks. Brother Snake understood. It seems that the next move is the attack on the legs. Brother Snake's eyes locked on Yu Yu's feet, alert to Yu Yu's leg attack. Breast expansion exercise. Yu Yu laughed. This is the consequence of not doing exercises well between classes. A straight punch passed through Brother Snake's protective hands and smashed directly into his chest. Kaka. Brother Snake, who flew out, seemed to hear the sound of his rib fractures. Puff. Brother Snake fell on Yang Yu's side and vomited blood. Didn't you say the next move is kicking? Yang Yu looked at Yu Yu who was gradually approaching, shivered all over, and quickly stepped back. I don't know, I'm doing exercises in between classes. When Brother Snake heard the words, he almost suffered from internal injuries, and wanted to kick Yang Yu, so that you fool would not study hard. Seeing Yu Yu getting closer and closer, Brother Snake glanced left and right, knowing that he was not Yu Yu's opponent, and was ready to run away. Is this a stone? Brother Snake's eyes lit up, thinking about it. Whoosh! A stone the size of a fist pierced the air, crossed a straight line, and smashed towards Yu Yu's forehead. Yu Yu stopped, turned his head slightly, and the stone whistled past with the sound of wind. Looking at it again, Brother Snake exerted force on his waist and abdomen, flicked his legs, and quickly rushed out into the distance. Brother Snake did not run away in a straight line, but moved left and right, like a grass snake in the bush, opening the snakeskin walk. Yu Yu looked at Brother Snake's escaping figure and sneered, "Ha! Did you leave?" Reaching out, Yu Yu took out a poker card from his pocket. Looking at Brother Snake's fleeing back, Yi Yu flicked his wrist, and the playing cards between his fingers disappeared instantly. Hiss! The playing cards ripped through the air, caught up with Brother Snake in the blink of an eye, and passed by him. A bloodline burst out from Brother Snake's leg, and Brother Snake fell directly to the ground. Ah! What? Brother Snake put his hand over his leg to prevent the blood from flowing, turned around and dragged his injured leg, leaning his back against a tree. Seeing Yi Yu approaching gradually, Brother Snake became more and more frightened, but he didn't dare to move any more, because the inexplicable attack just now nearly mutilated one of his legs. Run! Why don't you run? Yi Yu took out a poker card again, put it between his fingers, looked at Brother Snake, who was sweating profusely, and asked with a smile. Brother Snake fixed his eyes on the playing cards between Yi Yu's fingers, his face was pale and his eyes were frightened. Playing cards. Are you from the Tang sect? Tangman. Yi Yu shook his head. I don't know what Tangman is. Hearing that Yi Yu denied that he was a member of the Tang sect, Brother Snake breathed a sigh of relief, as if he was relieved a lot, and as soon as he rolled his eyes, he wanted to run away again. Swish! A playing card brushed Brother Snake's cheek and was deeply inserted into the tree trunk against which he was leaning. Run! Keep running, and see if I will shake your hand and cut your neck. Seeing that Brother Snake still wanted to run, Yi Yu took out a poker card between his fingers, and said to Brother Snake with a sneer. Seeing that Yi Yu took out another poker card, Brother Snake trembled with fright. Don't. I won't run away. Little brother, it's all a misunderstanding. It's him. Brother Snake pointed at Yang Yu and said sharply, Yang Yu paid me to hire me. It's me who doesn't know Mount Tai, and offended the little brother. I should be killed. Brother Snake slapped himself directly, and then said, I apologize to the little brother. Apologize. Yi Yu looked at Brother Snake, who showed weakness. His eyes were slightly cold, but just now you looked like you were going to kill me. Yi Yu recalled the last attack of Brother Snake, which was obviously aimed at his neck. If he hadn't dodged in time, he would have been seriously injured even if he didn't die. Brother Snake's face changed obviously when he heard the words, how is that possible? How dare I kill you? Killing is against the law, right? Brother Snake seems to be asking Yi Yu, but his real meaning is obvious, that is, let Yi Yu not kill himself. It's not enough to kill people, but you can't let you go just like that easily. Yi Yu said indifferently. Okay, I admit it today. Brother, if you have any ideas, just draw it out. Brother Snake leaned on the tree trunk behind him, his body was paralyzed, and he lost his strength. Yi Yu thought about it for a moment, and then said, I cut off my arm. Hurry up and don't let me see you in the future. Brother Snake's eyes narrowed, and his face turned paler, but he knew that if he didn't do what Yi Yu said, he would definitely not be able to leave. After a moment of silence, Brother Snake gritted his teeth, stood up straight, and waved his left arm directly to the tree trunk behind him. Boom! Click! With the violent impact, Brother Snake's left arm had an abnormal bend, and the forearm was obviously broken. Humph! Brother Snake grunted, a layer of cold sweat broke out on his head, hugged his broken arm, and took a few deep breaths. Little brother, I can go now. It's ruthless. Yi Yu frowned, looked at the embarrassed Brother Snake, and said softly, let's go. Brother Snake didn't have any hesitation, turned around, supported his leg, and walked away with his broken arm. If this revenge of the broken arm is not avenged, my name is written upside down. Brother Snake twisted his face and cursed Yi Yu fiercely in his heart, with a vicious look in his eyes, like a poisonous snake hiding in the dark, waiting for an opportunity to bite Yi Yu at any time. Seeing Brother Snake walking away, Yi Yu turned around and walked towards Yang Yu. The previous scene changed too fast. From Yi Yu's suppression to the successful counter-kill, Yang Yu's mood can be described as ups and downs. Especially when Brother Snake cut off his arm at the end, Yang Yu was even more frightened. Seeing Yi Yu walking towards him at this moment, Yang Yu was paralyzed by fright, fell to the ground again, and stepped back tremblingly. Don't come here. Yang Yu was about to cry in fright, looking at Yi Yu as if he saw the big devil. Yi Yu approached Yang Yu step by step. Do you want to break my leg? Let me lie down for the rest of my life. Yang Yu, you are very cruel. Yi Yu's icy voice made Yang Yu more and more frightened. The situation in which Brother Snake was forced to cut off his arm was still vivid in his mind, and now he can completely imagine his fate. I was wrong. Brother Yu, I was so wrong. For the sake of my classmates, you let me go. Yang Yu rolled and crawled, wanting Yi Yu to cry, and he was no longer arrogant and domineering. Hee, classmate, Yi Yu sneered. Yi Yu leaned down and stared at Yang Yu. Am I worthy of being your classmate? He immediately picked up a wooden stick and pointed at Yang Yu's leg. Do you do it yourself, or shall I help you? Oh my god. Yang Yu rolled his eyes and fainted, his crotch wet. There was a smell in the air. Yi Yu threw down the stick, and fanned with his hand in front of him in disgust. Seeing that Yang Yu had really fainted, he stopped. Bar, quote question mark question mark question mark. Hey, is it 120? In the small woods behind Shangyu Middle School, a person fainted, send someone here. Yi Yu put away the phone, looked at the somewhat dim sky, and walked away. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.